He thought he was a guest, but froze when he heard what the millionaire bride said. Justin Mitchell adjusted his black uniform for the third time that morning, feeling a mix of nervousness and anticipation. At 25, he had accepted the job as a server at this lavish wedding, only for the extra pay he desperately needed, never imagining his life would completely change. During the ceremony, as he discreetly moved among the guests, serving French sparkling wine in crystal flutes, the bride approached him with her white lace dress flowing. She gently held his wrist and whispered something that left him completely paralyzed. "You are my son," she said, her voice trembling and eyes brimming with tears. Justin felt the world spin around him. The tray nearly slipped from his shaking hands. For a moment he thought he had misheard, but the woman's intense, desperate gaze confirmed every word. "I don't understand," he murmured, looking around to make sure no one else had heard. The bride, an elegant woman of about 45 with brown hair tied in a sophisticated bun, took a deep breath before continuing. "My name is Eleanor Harrington. I gave you up for adoption 25 years ago under pressure from my family. Since then, I've never stopped searching for you." Justin swallowed hard. He had grown up at St. Jude's Home for Children in Newark, knowing absolutely nothing about his biological parents. For years, he fantasized about who they might be, imagining 1,000 different scenarios, but never something like this. "How can you be sure?" he asked, trying to keep his voice low as other guests passed nearby. Eleanor discreetly opened the small pearl handbag she was carrying and pulled out a delicate antique silver baby bracelet. "This bracelet has your name engraved on it. Justin Mitchell. That was the name I chose for you. I kept it all these years, hoping to find you one day." Justin looked at the small piece of jewelry and felt a shiver run down his spine. The name was there, engraved in tiny letters on the silver surface. His mind began to process the information slowly, as if trying to assemble an enormous puzzle. "Why now? Why here?" he questioned, still incredulous. "Because I hired private investigators. I found out where you worked, learned you were taking this job today. I planned all of this to find you," Eleanor confessed, tears starting to stream down her flawless makeup. It was at that moment that a man in a dark suit approached them, a furious expression on his face. Justin immediately recognized the groom, Richard Sterling, a 50-year-old businessman known for his coldness in business. "Eleanor, what's going on here?" Richard asked, his voice controlled but threatening. "Richard, this is my son," Eleanor said, trying to maintain her composure. Richard's face twisted into a mask of anger and contempt. He looked Justin up and down as if appraising a defective object. "Your son?" he repeated, his tone sarcastic. "Eleanor, are you having a nervous breakdown? Call someone to have this server removed immediately." "It's not a breakdown, Richard, it's the truth. I gave him up for adoption when I was very young, and now I've finally found him," Eleanor insisted, her voice growing firmer. Justin watched the argument in shock, feeling as if he were watching a movie in which he had inadvertently become the protagonist. The guests around them began to whisper and look in their direction. "If you don't make this man leave right now, I will cancel this wedding immediately," Richard threatened, pointing his finger at Justin. "I will not tolerate this kind of scene." Eleanor looked at Justin and then at Richard, clearly torn between two realities colliding violently. The banquet hall, decorated with white flower arrangements and gold candles, suddenly felt like a battlefield. "I'm leaving," said Justin, not wanting to cause more trouble. "Sorry for the inconvenience." "No," Eleanor grabbed his arm again. "You're not leaving, not again." At that moment, an elegant older woman approached the group. Justin immediately recognized her as Eleanor's mother, Margaret Harrington, a woman in her 70s with impeccable posture and a piercing gaze. "Eleanor, dear, what's going on? The guests are talking," said Margaret, her voice controlled. "Mother, this is Justin." "My son," announced Eleanor, with a mix of defiance and vulnerability. Margaret went pale. For a moment her face lost all aristocratic composure, revealing an expression of deep shock and something that seemed like guilt. "Eleanor, we need to talk." "Now," said Margaret, trying to pull her daughter aside. "No, Mother, I'm done talking in private. I'm done hiding. This is my son and I won't lose him again." Justin felt as if he were in a strange dream. His whole life he had imagined what it would be like to find his biological family, but never in such dramatic and public circumstances. "Listen carefully." Richard addressed Justin directly, his voice low and threatening. "I don't know what kind of scam you're trying to pull, but it ends here. You're going to leave this place right now and never come near my wife again, understand?" "She's not your wife yet," a female voice interrupted. Everyone turned to see who had spoken. It was Rachel, Eleanor's younger sister, a woman in her 40s with a determined look. She walked up to the group with steady steps. "Rachel, for heaven's sake, don't you start too," Margaret sighed. "No, Mother. Enough lies. Enough pretending this never happened," said Rachel, looking directly at Justin. "She always talked about you, even when the family forbade it." Justin felt his heart race. Someone had remembered him. Someone had cared. "I kept things of yours," Rachel continued, ignoring the furious looks from her mother and future brother-in-law. Little clothes, photos of Eleanor pregnant, everything the family tried to erase. The tension in the air was becoming unbearable. The nearby guests could no longer hide their curiosity and began forming small groups, whispering among themselves. "This is unacceptable," Richard exploded. "Eleanor, you have 5 minutes to fix this situation or I'm leaving, and you can be sure there will be consequences." "What kind of consequences?" asked Eleanor, with a courage that seemed to be born at that very moment. "You know very well. Your family owes my company a lot of money. This wedding isn't just a union. It's a business arrangement that can save you from financial ruin." The silence that followed was deafening. Justin finally began to understand the complexity of the situation. It wasn't just about a family reuniting, but a web of financial interests and social pressures. "So that's it," said Eleanor, her voice breaking. "You never really loved me. It was just about business." "Love?" Richard laughed scornfully. "Eleanor, you're 45 years old. It's time to stop believing in fairy tales. This marriage is beneficial for everyone involved." Justin felt anger rising inside him. Seeing that man humiliate his biological mother like that stirred something deep within him. "You have no right to talk to her like that," said Justin, surprising himself with the firmness in his voice. Richard turned to him with a cruel smile. "Oh, the server wants to play hero. How much do you want to disappear from her life for good? 50,000? 100,000? Everyone has a price." "I'm not for sale," replied Justin, looking firmly into the businessman's eyes. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to leave a like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. Justin Mitchell's noble attitude impressed some guests who were close enough to overhear the conversation. An elderly lady, elegantly dressed, approached the group. "Excuse me, but I couldn't help overhearing," she said with a refined accent. "Young man, what is your full name?" "Justin Mitchell, ma'am," he replied respectfully. The woman was visibly shaken. Her hands trembled slightly as she leaned on her carved wooden cane. "Mitchell? Oh my goodness," she murmured. "Do you have a small star-shaped birthmark behind your right ear?" Justin instinctively touched the spot she mentioned. How did that stranger know about his birthmark? "Yes, I do. How do you know?" "Because I am Martha Mitchell, your paternal grandmother." The silence that followed was absolute. Eleanor brought her hand to her mouth, eyes wide. Margaret looked as if she'd seen a ghost. Even Richard was momentarily speechless. "What do you mean, paternal grandmother?" Justin asked, confused. "Your father is my son, Thomas Mitchell. I'm here as a guest because our family has had business with the Harringtons for generations," Martha explained, tears in her eyes. "Thomas never knew you existed." Eleanor sobbed. "I wanted to tell him, but my parents said he had traveled abroad. They said he didn't want any commitments." "That's a lie," Martha said, her voice firm. "Thomas never traveled abroad. He stayed here, in New York City, searching for Eleanor for months. When he found out she had moved to study in another city, he was devastated." Margaret was growing paler by the minute. The web of lies she had built over 25 years was unraveling in front of everyone. "Where is he now?" Eleanor asked, her voice choked. "At home." We live 15 minutes from here. Thomas never married. He always said he couldn't forget the only woman he truly loved, Martha revealed. Justin felt as if he were living a dream. In a matter of minutes, he had discovered not only who his mother was, but also that he had a paternal grandmother and that his father was alive and living nearby. "I'm going to get him," Martha announced, determined. "He needs to know about you, Justin. He deserves to know." "Wait," Richard interrupted, visibly desperate. "This has gone far enough. Eleanor, either you end this now, or our deal is off. And you know what that means for your family." "What deal?" Justin asked, sensing there was more behind all of this. It was Rachel who answered, no longer able to keep the family's secrets. "The family business has been nearly bankrupt for years. Mom made bad investments and lost almost everything. Eleanor's marriage to Richard was the only way to save our company. He agreed to inject money into the business in exchange for the union." "Rachel!" Margaret shouted, furious. "No, Mom, I'm tired of pretending. Eleanor has the right to know that her life was traded like a commodity." Justin began to understand the pressure Eleanor had faced. It wasn't just about finding a husband. It was about saving the whole family from financial ruin. "Eleanor," he said gently, "you don't have to sacrifice yourself for money. There are other solutions." "Other solutions?" Richard laughed scornfully. "And what would those be? Are you going to save her family on your waiter's salary?" "Maybe I don't have money, but I can work. I can help in other ways," Justin replied with dignity. "How lovely," Richard sneered. "The savior arrives riding in on a tray of French sparkling wine." The humiliation in the businessman's voice made Justin feel a rage he had never experienced before. But before he could respond, a male voice interrupted the argument. "Who is humiliating my son?" Everyone turned to see a man in his 50s approaching the group. He had graying hair and eyes just like Justin's. It was impossible not to notice the resemblance. "Thomas," whispered Eleanor, as if she were seeing a ghost. "Eleanor," he replied, his voice choked. "My mother told me everything over the phone. I came as quickly as I could." Justin looked at the man who was his biological father, trying to process the avalanche of emotions. Thomas approached him slowly, his eyes full of tears. "You are my son," said Thomas, not as a question but as an emotional statement. I think so," replied Justin, still trying to believe everything that was happening. Thomas extended his arms, and without hesitation Justin stepped forward. The embrace between father and son, after 25 years of separation, was charged with an emotion that moved many of the guests present as well. "I always knew you existed somewhere," said Thomas, holding Justin's face in both hands. "I always felt a void, as if a part of me was lost." "Very touching," interrupted Richard sarcastically. "But the reality is that this charade has gone on long enough. Eleanor, you have 30 seconds to decide." Thomas turned to Richard with an expression Justin had never seen before. It was a mix of paternal protectiveness and contained anger. "You must be the man who was humiliating my son," said Thomas in a low, dangerous voice. "Your son is a waiter trying to take advantage of a situation to make easy money," retorted Richard. "My son," said Thomas, emphasizing each word, "is an honest man who works for a living, something you apparently don't understand." The tension between the two men was palpable. Eleanor positioned herself between them, clearly torn between the past she was rediscovering and the future she had planned out of necessity. "Enough," she said, her voice firm. "I won't allow you two to fight over me." "Eleanor," said Thomas softly, "why did you never tell me about the pregnancy?" "Because my parents said you had left. They said you didn't want commitment and were traveling the world. I was very young, very naive. I believed them." Thomas looked at Margaret with an expression of deep disappointment. "And you always knew I was here, in New York City. You always knew I was looking for Eleanor." Margaret avoided his gaze, clearly embarrassed. "We thought it would be best that way. You were too young, didn't have the stability to raise a child." "You had no right to decide that for us," retorted Thomas, his voice controlled but firm. Justin watched the argument among the adults who had shaped his destiny without him having any say in the decision. He felt a mix of anger, sadness, and relief at finally discovering the truth. "And now?" asked Justin, directing the question to Eleanor. "What are you going to do?" Eleanor looked around. The banquet hall, which was supposed to be the setting for her wedding, had turned into a stage for revelations and confrontations. The guests, who should have been celebrating, whispered nervously among themselves. I don't know," she admitted, honestly. "My whole life was planned for this moment, to save my family from financial ruin." "Eleanor," said Thomas, taking her hand, "you don't have to sacrifice yourself. We can find a solution together." "Together?" laughed Richard. "Thomas, you own a small auto repair shop. Do you think you can compete with a business empire?" "I don't need to compete with anything," Thomas replied calmly. "I just need to offer something you apparently can't: true love." Thomas's words echoed through the hall. A few guests began murmuring in approval, clearly touched by the sincerity of the moment. "Love doesn't pay the bills," Richard said coldly. "But it also doesn't charge a price that includes a person's soul," Justin retorted, surprising everyone with his intervention. Richard turned to him angrily. "This has nothing to do with you." "Yes, it does. She's my mother. And even though I don't really know her, I can't stand by and watch her be treated like merchandise." Justin's courage in defending Eleanor deeply moved the woman. She looked at that young man who had grown up without her, yet showed a nobility of character that made her proud. "Justin is right," Eleanor said, her voice growing firmer. "I'm not merchandise, and I won't accept being treated like one anymore." "Eleanor, think about what you're doing," Margaret warned, desperate. "If you call off this wedding, we lose everything, the company, the house, everything." "Then we lose it," Eleanor said, removing the veil from her head. "But we won't lose our dignity." Eleanor's symbolic gesture of removing the veil caused a stir among the guests. Richard turned pale. "You'll regret this," he threatened. "No," Eleanor replied, looking at Justin and then at Thomas. "For the first time in a long time, I know I'm doing the right thing." Richard stormed out of the hall, followed by a few guests who were his business associates. The rest of the people present stayed, clearly interested in seeing how the situation would unfold. "And now," Rachel asked, approaching her sister, "what are we going to do about the company?" "We'll find a way," Eleanor said with determination. "But it won't be by selling my life." "I can help," a female voice said. Everyone turned to see who had spoken. It was a woman around 60, elegantly dressed, standing among the guests. "Excuse me, I'm Cynthia Vance. I'm a businesswoman and was here as a guest of the Sterling family. But after what I witnessed, I can't stay silent." "What do you mean?" Eleanor asked. "I mean, I witnessed the dignity of a family that chose love over money. That's rare these days. And I admire that." Cynthia moved closer to the group. "My firm is always looking for partnerships with serious, well-structured family businesses. If you're interested in a conversation, I can consider a possible partnership." Margaret's eyes widened. "Are you serious?" "Completely. But it wouldn't be a hostile takeover like Mr. Sterling's. It would be a partnership where you keep control of the family business." Justin watched the conversation with fascination. In a matter of hours, his life had completely changed, and now it seemed the life of his biological family was also taking an unexpected turn. "I'd like to talk to you about this," Cynthia continued. "But at another time, of course. Today is a day for family, not business." Eleanor smiled for the first time since the turmoil had started. "Thank you, Mrs. Vance. Your offer means a lot to us." Martha, who had observed everything in silence, approached Justin. "My grandson, would you like to come to our house? I have so many photos to show, so many stories to tell." Justin looked at Eleanor and then at Thomas. For the first time in his life, he had a real family. But he also felt responsible for all the commotion his appearance had caused. "Are you sure you want this?" he asked. "Me showing up out of nowhere like this and causing all this trouble?" "Trouble," Eleanor said, gently holding his face. "Justin, you are the most precious thing in my life. Never, ever think you're a burden." "She's right," Thomas confirmed. "I missed 25 years of your life. I don't intend to miss another day." Justin felt his eyes fill with tears. His whole life, he had wondered if his biological parents thought about him, if they missed him. Now he had the answer. "I want to get to know you too," he said, his voice breaking. "But I don't know how to do this. It's all so new, so intense." "Let's take it slow," Eleanor suggested. "We can meet up to talk to get to know each other better. No pressure, at our own pace." "Good idea," Thomas agreed. "We have the rest of our lives to get to know each other." Rachel approached Justin. "I know we're practically strangers, but you have an aunt here who's very happy to meet you. And I have some things saved that might interest you." "What kind of things?" "Photos of Eleanor pregnant, little clothes she bought for you, letters she wrote but never sent. Things that prove you were always loved, even from afar." Justin felt moved by the revelation. His whole life he had wondered if he had been wanted or if he was just an accident. Now he discovered he had been loved before he was even born. "I would really like to see that," he said. "Of course. We can set up a meeting for next week." The Reverend who was supposed to have performed the ceremony timidly approached the group. "Excuse me, but I need to know whether to dismiss the guests, or if there's something we should do." Eleanor looked around. The hall was still set up for a party, with decorated tables and a banquet ready. "We don't want to waste all this," she said. "How about we turn it into a family reunion party?" "What a wonderful idea," approved Martha, smiling. "A much more meaningful celebration than an arranged marriage." "But what about the guests who were Richard's?" asked Rachel. "Anyone who wants to stay is welcome. Anyone who doesn't is free to leave," Eleanor said, with newfound authority in her voice. To everyone's surprise, many of the guests chose to stay. Apparently, the story had touched more people than they realized. During the beginning of the impromptu party, Justin had the opportunity to talk individually with each member of his newly discovered family. First, it was Eleanor. They sat at a table off to the side, away from the buzz of the party. "You grew up well," she said, studying his face closely. "You're a handsome, well-mannered man. The people at the orphanage did a good job." "Saint. Jude's home for children has good caretakers," Justin agreed. "But I always felt something was missing." "Me too. All these years, I felt like a part of me was lost. I hired private investigators, followed false leads. I even found 2 young men your age that I thought might be you. And how did you know they were the wrong people?" Eleanor smiled sadly. "A mother always knows. Deep in my heart, I knew they weren't you. And when I saw you today, even before we got close, something inside me stirred. It was a feeling I'd never experienced before." "Why did you decide to put me up for adoption?" Justin asked, not with an accusatory tone, but with genuine curiosity. Eleanor sighed deeply. "I was only 20 years old. My parents convinced me it would be best for you. They said I wasn't able to raise you, that you would have a better life with a structured family. At the time, I believed I was doing what was best for you. And now, do you still think it was the right decision? Still?" "I don't know," Eleanor admitted honestly. "You seem to have grown into a good, honest man. Maybe you had opportunities that I couldn't have given you back then. But I also missed 25 years of your life. It's time I'll never get back." "We're not losing it," Justin said, gently touching her hand. "From now on, we build new moments together. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, go ahead and hit like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out." Now continuing, and next it was Justin's turn to talk to Thomas. The 2 men walked over to a small garden on the side of the hall. "I always knew you existed," Thomas said without preamble. "Not concretely, but I felt an inexplicable void in my life." "What do you mean?" "When Eleanor disappeared from my life, I was devastated. I searched for her for months. When I finally found out she had moved to another city to study, I tried to go after her. But her family told me she didn't want any more contact with me." "You believed them?" "At first, no. But after several failed attempts to reach out, I started to accept that maybe she really didn't want anything to do with me. Still, I always had the feeling something was wrong." Thomas stopped walking and looked directly at Justin. "Years later, I started having strange dreams. Dreams about a child who looked like me. I would wake up with the feeling that I had a son somewhere in the world. Did you ever investigate? I tried a few times, but without concrete information it was impossible. Besides, I was afraid I was going crazy. Who dreams about children they aren't sure exist? Justin was moved by his father's story. So you never got married because of that? I could never love another woman the way I loved Eleanor. And I always felt I had a responsibility somewhere, but I didn't know what it was. Now I know it was you. And now, how do we go from here? Slowly, Thomas said, echoing Eleanor's words. We have a lot of lost time to make up for, but we can't force anything. I want to get to know the man my son has become. I want to know your dreams, your fears, your accomplishments. I want to get to know you too, but I'm afraid. Afraid of what? Of disappointing you, of not being the son you hoped to find. All my life, I imagined that maybe you gave me up because I wasn't good enough. Thomas stopped and placed his hands on Justin's shoulders. Son, you were never given up because you weren't good enough. You were given up because an entire family lied and manipulated the situation. None of that was your fault, and nothing you do or don't do will change the fact that you are my son, and I love you. Thomas's words deeply touched Justin. It was the first time in his life that someone called him son with such emotion. Then Justin talked to Martha, his paternal grandmother. The elderly lady took him to see the photos she had brought in her bag. I always carry some photos of Thomas when he was young, she explained, showing old pictures. Look at this one. He was exactly your age when it was taken. Justin took the photo and was amazed by the resemblance. It was like looking at himself in a time machine. The resemblance is striking, he murmured. It's not just the looks, Martha said. Throughout the entire party, I watched your behavior. The way you treat people, your manners, your humility. You inherited the character of the Mitchell family. What were my paternal grandparents like? Your grandfather passed away when Thomas was still a teenager. He was a hard-working, honest man who always taught that dignity can't be bought with money. I tried to pass the same values on to my son, and from what I see he managed to pass them on to you, even without being present. How so? The way you behaved today, you could have accepted Mr. Sterling's money and disappeared. You could have caused an even bigger scandal. But you kept your dignity, defended Eleanor, and didn't let yourself be humiliated. That's very characteristic of our family. Justin felt proud of his grandmother's words. All his life he had strived to be a person of integrity, not knowing he was following family traditions. I'd like you to come have dinner with us tomorrow, said Martha. I want to make Thomas's favorite dishes. I'm sure you'll like them too. It would be an honor, Grandma Martha. The word grandma brought tears to the elderly woman's eyes. How long I've dreamed of hearing that, she said, kissing Justin's forehead. During the rest of the party, Justin had the chance to meet other members of the extended family. He discovered he had cousins, great-uncles, and a network of relatives who had always wondered about Martha's lost grandson. Rachel approached him carrying a cardboard box. I brought some things I've saved all these years, she said. Eleanor always asked me to throw them away, but I never had the heart. Justin opened the box curiously. Inside were baby clothes, small toys, and handwritten letters. What are these letters? They're letters that Eleanor wrote to you during her pregnancy and in the first few years after you were adopted. She wrote as if she were talking to you, telling you about her day, about how she was feeling. Justin picked up one of the letters at random and began to read. My dear Justin, today marks 3 months since you were born. I wake up every morning wondering how you are, if you're growing well, if you're happy. I hope so. I hope the family taking care of you gives you all the love I wish I could give. Today a boy about your age passed by on the street. I found myself wondering if you look like him, if you have the same curious little eyes. I bet you're beautiful. Mommy loves you very much, even from far away. Someday when you're grown up, I will find you and explain everything. With all my love, your mother, Eleanor. Justin felt tears streaming down his face. All his life, he had wondered if his biological parents thought of him. Now he had proof that they did. She wrote a lot of those letters, Rachel said softly. For years. She only stopped when she started working at the firm and got too busy, but she always carried you in her heart. Justin flipped through other letters. There were hundreds of them covering years of his life. In each one, Eleanor told about her day, expressed longing and love, and always ended promising that one day she would find him. "Why did you keep these?" Justin asked. "Because I knew that one day you two would reunite, and when that happened you would need to know that you were loved from day one." The conversation was interrupted by Eleanor, who nervously approached. "Justin, I need to tell you one more thing, something that might change your perspective on all of this." "What is it?" Eleanor took a deep breath before continuing. "You have a younger sister." Justin felt as if the ground had disappeared beneath his feet. "A sister?" "Yes. Her name is Maya. She's 19 years old. She's my daughter with another man, a relationship I had a few years later. But the marriage didn't work out." "Where is she?" "Studying in Princeton. She doesn't know about you. I never told her she had an older brother." Justin tried to process this new information. In a single day, he had discovered he not only had parents and a grandmother, but also a sister. "Would you like to meet her?" Eleanor asked nervously. I don't know. That's a lot to take in all at once." "I understand. You don't have to decide now, but when you're ready, I can introduce you." "What is she like?" Eleanor smiled fondly. "She's studious, determined, a little stubborn. She's studying architecture and is very talented. And she has the same smile as you." Justin imagined meeting a sister he didn't know existed. It would be another piece of the puzzle of his identity that was coming together. As the party continued, Justin realized that his presence had caused much more than just a family reunion. He had exposed a marriage of convenience, revealed decades of lies and manipulation, and united two families that had been separated by circumstances. Cynthia Vance approached him again, this time accompanied by a younger man. "Justin, this is my son, Scott. He runs a business consulting firm. We were talking about the Harrington family situation." Scott greeted Justin politely. "My mother told me about the whole situation. It's quite a story, but I wanted to make a proposal." "What kind of proposal?" "From what I understand, you have experience in various services. Waiter, assistant, that kind of work. That means you know practical business operations." "Yes, I've worked in several places. Our firm is looking for someone who understands day-to-day operations to help other companies optimize processes. It's a job that requires practical knowledge, not just theory." Justin was surprised by the offer. "Are you offering me a job?" "We're offering an opportunity," Cynthia corrected. "If it works out, it could be the start of a promising career, and it would be a way for you to help your family in a concrete way." Justin looked at Eleanor and Thomas, who had come closer to listen to the conversation. "What do you think?" "We think you should decide," said Eleanor. "But whatever your decision, we'll support you." "It's quite an opportunity," agreed Thomas. "But don't feel pressured on our account." Justin reflected on the offer. It was a chance to change his life, to have a promising career, but it was also a big leap into the unknown. "Can I think about it?" "Of course," said Scott. "Here's my card. Get in touch when you decide." As the party continued, Justin stepped away to a corner of the garden, needing a moment to process everything that had happened. In a single afternoon, his life had completely changed. Thomas approached him. "Feeling lost?" "A little," Justin admitted. 6 hours ago, I was just a waiter who had taken on an extra job. Now I have a family, a possible new career, and a bunch of responsibilities I don't know if I'm ready to take on." "You don't have to take on all those responsibilities at once," Thomas said wisely. "Life is a process. You can gradually figure out how you want to handle each situation." "What if I disappoint all of you?" "Impossible. You've shown us more character in one afternoon than many people show in a lifetime." Eleanor joined them in the garden. "Justin, I want to apologize for all this mess. I know my way of revealing the truth wasn't ideal." "Why did you choose to do it today, on your wedding day?" Eleanor smiled sadly. "Because I knew if I didn't do it today, I would never have the courage again. Marrying Richard meant the end of my chances of having a real life. It would be like dying while still alive. And now, what's the next step? Now we take it slow. We'll get to know each other gradually. You'll decide if you want to accept that job offer. I'll restructure my life and discover who I really am when I'm not being pressured by the family. And the company? The financial problems? We'll find a solution. Maybe accept Cynthia's proposal. Maybe downsize the company. Maybe change fields entirely. But it will be our decision, not something imposed by blackmail. Justin felt moved by Eleanor's determination. Are you sure you made the right choice today? Absolutely. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm living my own life, not the life others planned for me. Martha approached the group carrying a bag. Justin, before you leave, I want to give you something. She pulled an old but well-preserved wristwatch from her bag. This watch belonged to your paternal grandfather. He always said he wanted to pass it on to his first grandchild. Since you were the first grandchild, even though we didn't know you existed, I think it's only fair that it's yours. Justin took the watch reverently. It was a beautiful, classic piece, showing signs of having been dearly loved. Thank you, Grandma. I'll treasure it. There's an inscription on the back, said Martha. Justin turned the watch over and read, For my grandchild, with eternal love, may time always be on your side. He wrote that when he was very ill, shortly before he passed. He said that one day his grandchild would show up and needed to know that he was loved by him too. Justin put the watch on his wrist. It fit perfectly, as if it had been made especially for him. As afternoon turned into evening, the impromptu celebration began to wind down. The guests who had decided to stay were saying their goodbyes, many of them deeply moved by the story they had witnessed. Justin was getting ready to leave when Eleanor grabbed his arm. Justin, I know it's a lot to ask after everything that happened today, but would you like to come to dinner at our house tomorrow? Nothing formal, just a family conversation. I'd love to, he replied sincerely. Great. And if you'd like, you can bring a friend, someone important to you. I want to meet the people who were important in your life while I wasn't there. Justin thought of Tyler, his best friend from the orphanage, who had always been like a brother to him. There's a friend I'd like to introduce you to, if it's not an inconvenience. It'll be a pleasure to meet him, said Eleanor. Thomas approached with a piece of paper in his hand. I wrote down my phone number and address, and my mom's too, for anything you need any time. Thank you. I'll write down mine too. After exchanging all contact information and saying goodbye to his newly found family, Justin finally left the place where his life had changed forever. On the way back home, he reflected on the extraordinary events of that afternoon. He had started the day as a server doing a side job and was ending it as a son, grandson, brother, and nephew of people who had always loved him, even though they didn't know where he was. His grandfather's watch showed 9 o'clock at night when Justin arrived home. He lived in a small apartment in Newark, simple but neat and clean. He sat on the bed and looked at the card from Scott Vance, the baby bracelet Eleanor had given him, and his grandfather's watch. 3 objects that represented his past, present, and future. He picked up his phone and called Tyler, his closest friend. Justin, how was that server gig? Rich people's weddings pay well, huh? Asked Tyler, excited. Tyler, you won't believe what happened today. Wow, by the sound of your voice, it must have been something interesting. Spill it. Justin spent over an hour telling his friend all the details, from the moment Eleanor approached him to the impromptu party and all the revelations. Dude, this sounds like a soap opera, said Tyler, impressed. Are you sure you're not dreaming? Look, Justin sent a photo of the watch and the bracelet. Physical evidence. Oh my God, it's real. So now what? How are you feeling? Confused, happy, scared, all at once. Tyler, do you want to come with me to dinner at their place tomorrow? Eleanor said I could bring someone. Me? Go to dinner at your rich biological family's house? Dude, I don't even know how to behave in that kind of setting. They're not rich, Tyler. Actually, they're almost broke. And they're simple, normal people. The only rich one in this story was the groom who left. Oh, okay, that makes me feel better. That makes me... Of course I'll go with you. I wouldn't miss this for anything. After hanging up, Justin lay down on the bed and stared at the ceiling. He thought about all the times he had questioned his origins, all the nights he had fallen asleep imagining what his biological parents might be like. Reality had surpassed any fantasy he could have created. Not only had he found his parents, but he discovered he had been loved all along, that he had never been forgotten, and that his absence had left a void in many people's lives. The next morning, Justin woke up with a strange feeling. For a moment, he thought he had dreamed everything that had happened the day before, but when he saw his grandfather's clock on the nightstand, he confirmed it had all been real. His phone rang. It was a message from Eleanor. "Good morning, Justin. I hope you slept well. Dinner is still set for today at 7 p.m. Address 234. Rosewood Lane, Greenwich. I can't wait to talk more with you. With love, Eleanor." Justin smiled. Eleanor had taken care to sign the message, as if he might not know who it was. It was a maternal gesture that touched him deeply. He replied, "Good morning, Eleanor. I slept well, thank you. I'll be there at 7 p.m. with my friend Tyler. See you soon." During the day, Justin tried to keep his normal routine, but he had trouble concentrating on anything. His mind kept returning to the events of the previous day. At 5 in the afternoon, he started getting ready for dinner. He chose a simple but neat outfit, a light blue dress shirt and dark jeans. Tyler arrived at 6:30, visibly nervous. "Dude, what do I say to them?" "Hi, I'm your son's friend that you abandoned," Tyler joked, but Justin could tell he was really worried. "Tyler, relax. They didn't abandon me, and they're normal people. You'll like them." "Easy for you to say. You're the lost and found son. I'm just orphan friend number 2. Justin laughed at his friend's insecurity. Tyler always made jokes when he was nervous. They arrived at the address at exactly 7 o'clock. The house was nice but not ostentatious, an upper-middle-class home in a well-maintained, gated community. Eleanor opened the door herself, wearing a simple dress with her hair down. She was much more relaxed than the day before. "Justin," she hugged him warmly. "I'm so glad you came. Eleanor, this is my friend Tyler. We lived together at the orphanage for many years." "Tyler, it's a pleasure to meet you," Eleanor said, extending her hand warmly. "Justin told me you two are very close. Thank you so much for taking care of my son when I couldn't be there." The simplicity and sincerity of Eleanor's words left Tyler visibly moved. "Actually, he took care of me," Tyler replied. "Justin was always like an older brother to all of us." Eleanor smiled with maternal pride. "Please, come in. Thomas and my mother are already here." The inside of the house was cozy, with tasteful but not overdone furniture. Justin noticed several family photos on the shelves, but none from the time he was supposed to be present. Thomas stood up from the couch when he saw them enter. "Justin, my son." He hugged him tightly. "How was your night?" "Good, thank you. This is Tyler, my best friend." Thomas greeted Tyler with the same warmth he had shown Justin. "Tyler, Justin told me you grew up together. You must have many interesting stories to tell." "Plenty," laughed Tyler, already more relaxed. "Most of them involve Justin getting me out of trouble." Margaret approached the group. She was visibly more humble than the day before, without the haughty posture she had shown at the wedding. "Justin, I hope you can forgive me for my behavior yesterday, and for all these years of questionable choices." "You don't need to apologize, Grandma Margaret. The important thing is that we're together now." The word grandma seemed to deeply affect Margaret. She brought her hand to her eyes to hide her tears. "I never thought I'd hear that word directed at me," she said, her voice choked. During dinner, Justin got to know his biological family better in a more intimate setting. Eleanor had prepared a simple but tasty menu, and the conversation flowed naturally. Thomas told stories from his youth, about his work at the auto repair shop and the years he spent searching for Eleanor. Eleanor spoke about her frustrated career as a pianist, sacrificed for the family business. "Do you play the piano?" Justin asked, interested. "I used to. It's been years since I last played, but it was my passion when I was young." "We have a piano in the living room," Margaret said. "It's a bit out of tune, but it works." "Would you like to play something for us?" Justin asked. Eleanor was visibly moved by the request. It's been so long, I don't know if I still remember. Give it a try, Tyler encouraged. It should be like riding a bike. You never forget. After dinner, everyone headed to the living room, where there was an old but well-maintained grand piano. Eleanor sat down on the bench and tapped a few keys experimentally. It really is out of tune, she laughed. Even so, she began to play a classical melody. Her hands moved with a natural grace, as if she had never stopped practicing. Justin was fascinated. Had he inherited something from her? Some musical talent? It's beautiful, he said sincerely. Thank you. This song reminds me of the time I was pregnant with you. I played it every night, imagining you might be able to hear me. Can I try? Justin asked impulsively. Do you know how to play? Eleanor asked, surprised. I don't, but I've always wanted to learn, and now that I know you play, I'm curious. Eleanor got up from the bench and Justin sat down. Experimentally, he began pressing the keys. To everyone's surprise, he managed to reproduce a simple melody, as if his hands naturally knew where to go. My God, Eleanor whispered. How did you do that? I don't know. The hands seem to know where to play on their own. Thomas came closer, impressed. That's amazing. You never had lessons? Never. At the orphanage there was a broken little electric piano. Sometimes I would press the keys, but I thought I was just making noise. Eleanor sat down next to Justin on the bench. Let's try together. I'll play the main melody, and you do a simple accompaniment. What followed was one of the most emotional moments of Justin's life. Mother and son playing piano together for the first time, creating a musical and emotional harmony that left everyone present with tears in their eyes. You two need to take lessons together, Thomas suggested, moved. That would be wonderful, Eleanor agreed. We could learn new songs, develop this talent you apparently inherited. Justin felt deeply touched by the idea. It would be a way to build a connection with Eleanor through something they both loved. After a few more songs, they returned to the dining room for coffee. Justin, Margaret said, I want to tell you something about the family business. What is it, Grandma? After all the confusion yesterday, I had a long conversation with Cynthia Vance. She's really interested in a partnership with us. That's good, isn't it? Very good. It means maybe we can restructure the business without having to sell our dignity to someone like Richard. Eleanor perked up. And there's more. I spoke with Scott Vance, Cynthia's son. He confirmed the job offer he made to you yesterday. Really? Yes. And it would be a salary 3 times what you currently earn as a server, plus benefits and potential for growth within the company. Justin became thoughtful. It was an incredible opportunity, but also a big change. What do you all think? He asked the table. I think you should take it, Tyler said without hesitation. That's the opportunity of a lifetime, man. I agree with Tyler, said Thomas, but the decision is yours. We'll support whatever you choose. It's just, changing careers is scary. What if I can't handle it? What if I let the Vances down after they helped our family? Justin, said Eleanor, touching his hand, you've spent 25 years of your life fending for yourself. You've worked multiple jobs, always been responsible and dedicated. You have more ability than you realize. And besides, added Thomas, you're not alone anymore. Now you have a family to support you. His father's words touched Justin deeply. For the first time in his life, he had a true support network. All right, I'll call Scott tomorrow and accept the offer. Everyone applauded the decision, and Justin felt a mix of anxiety and anticipation. And there's something else, said Eleanor, hesitating. Maya, your sister, wants to meet you. What do you mean? You told her about me. I did. I called her this morning and explained the whole situation. She was shocked at first, but then she got excited about the idea of having an older brother. And what did she say? That she wants to come home this weekend to meet you, but only if you want to, of course. Justin thought about the sister he didn't know. All his life he had been an only child. Now he discovered he had a sister eager to meet him. I'd really like to meet her. Great. She arrives Saturday afternoon. We could have a family lunch. Can I bring Tyler again? Asked Justin half-jokingly. Of course, laughed Eleanor. Tyler is already part of the family too. Tyler was moved by the inclusion. Thank you so much, Mrs. Eleanor. You don't know how much this means to me too. Why? Asked Thomas. Because it's always been just me and Justin. I never had a real family. Now that he has you, I feel like I've gained a family too. Margaret stood up and hugged Tyler. Dear, you're not just welcome. You're part of this family. Any friend who has been important to Justin all these years is important to us too. The moment was deeply moving. Justin realized he had not only reunited with his biological family, but had created an extended family that included the people he loved most. For the rest of the evening, Justin and Tyler listened to family stories, looked at old photo albums, and Justin tried to absorb 25 years of family history in a few hours. Thomas showed photos of his auto repair shop. It's small, but it's honest. I mainly work with old cars, restoration. That must be interesting, said Justin. Would you like to see it? You could stop by one of these days. I'd love to. Eleanor showed old sheet music she had kept. These are compositions I made when I was young. Nothing professional, just melodies that came to me. You composed? Asked Justin, impressed. I tried. I dreamed of being a professional composer, but life took other turns. You could still pick that up again. It's never too late to follow a dream. Eleanor smiled warmly. Maybe, especially if I have someone to teach me modern piano, she said, looking meaningfully at Justin. When it was time to leave, Justin felt as if he had lived an entire week in a few hours. He had absorbed so much about his family that he would need time to process it all. Thank you for everything, he said, hugging Eleanor goodbye, for seeking me out, for having the courage to reveal the truth, for welcoming me. I'm the one who thanks you for forgiving me, Eleanor replied, for not hating me for all those lost years. They weren't lost years, said Justin. They were years that prepared us for this moment. Now we know how to value what we have. Thomas also hugged him tightly. Son, you've brought life back to this family. Not just for being here, but for showing us what really matters. What do you mean? Your dignity yesterday, the way you treated people, your humility today. You reminded us of the values we were forgetting while we only cared about money and status. During the ride back, Justin and Tyler spent most of the time in silence, each processing the extraordinary experience. Dude, Tyler finally said, your family is amazing. I know. I still can't quite believe this is happening. And are you really going to take that job? I am. It's scary, but it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and now that I know I have a family to support me, I feel braver. I'm really happy for you, Justin. You always deserved a family that valued you. And you too, Tyler, and it seems like now we both have that. On Thursday, Justin called Scott Costa and confirmed he would accept the job offer. Scott was pleased, and they scheduled a meeting for Friday to discuss details. On Friday, Justin dressed in the best suit he owned and went to the Costa offices. The building was modern and elegant, but not intimidating. Scott received him in his office warmly. Justin, I'm glad you decided to accept our offer. I'm sure this will be a fruitful partnership. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Scott. I'm excited, but also nervous. That's natural. Changes always bring anxiety. But talking to my mother yesterday, she told me more details about how you behaved at the wedding. That confirms our impression that you have exactly the profile we're looking for. What profile is that? Someone with practical experience, but also personal integrity. Our clients need to trust our consultants, and trust is earned through character, not just degrees. Scott explained details about the role. Justin would work visiting small and medium-sized businesses, analyzing practical operations and suggesting improvements based on his experience with various types of work. You'll start on Monday. The first 3 months will be training with full salary. After that, if everything goes well, you'll take on your own clients. Justin signed the contract papers, still hardly believing the change his life was undergoing. On Saturday afternoon, Justin was again at Eleanor's house, this time to meet Maya, his sister. He was nervous but also anxious. Eleanor opened the door accompanied by a young woman with curly dark hair and expressive eyes. The family resemblance was evident, especially in the smile. Maya, this is Justin, your brother, Eleanor said, emotional. Maya looked at Justin for a moment, studying his face. Then, without warning, she hugged him tightly. "Hey, bro. Took you long enough to show up," she said, with a mix of humor and emotion. Justin laughed, instantly connecting with his sister's laid-back manner. "Sorry for the delay. I was busy growing up without knowing I had a family," he joked back. Maya laughed too. "Touché. Mom told me everything." What a crazy story, right? Totally. I'm still trying to process it all. During lunch, Justin learned that Maya was smart, funny, and determined. She was studying architecture and had ambitious plans for the future. "Have you always wanted to be an architect?" "Always. Since I was little, I used to draw houses and buildings. Mom kept several of my childhood drawings." "Maya has always been very talented," Eleanor confirmed, "but also very stubborn when she made up her mind about something." "I inherited it from the family." Maya laughed, looking at Justin. "And you, what do you like to do?" "Until last week I would have said I like working to survive," Justin joked. "But I discovered I have a talent for piano, and on Monday I start a new job in business consulting." "Really? That's awesome. And piano, do you play?" "I'm learning. We discovered it's a family talent." Maya perked up. "You could teach me. I've always wanted to learn an instrument." "I'm still learning too. How about we learn together?" "Great idea," Eleanor agreed. "We can take family lessons. It'll be a way for us to grow closer." After lunch, Eleanor suggested that Maya show Justin her architecture projects. The young woman dashed to her room and returned carrying a folder full of drawings. "These are projects from college, but I also have some personal sketches." Justin was impressed by his sister's talent. The drawings were detailed and creative, showing a highly developed architectural vision. "This is incredible, Maya. You're very talented." "Thank you. One day I want to have my own architecture firm. I want to design houses that are both beautiful and functional." "And affordable housing too," she added. "I want people from different social backgrounds to have access to quality architecture." Justin was struck by his sister's social awareness. "That's very noble. Have you always thought that way?" "Ever since I realized not everyone can afford to hire an architect. I want to democratize access to well-designed spaces." During the afternoon, Justin, Maya, and Eleanor played the piano together. It was a moment of pure family magic, with 3 generations creating music in harmony. "You know," Maya said, "you play better than I do, and you started after me." "Must be the talent inherited from the family," Justin laughed. "Or maybe it's because he grew up listening to music in the womb," Eleanor suggested, emotional. "I played the piano every day while I was pregnant with him." The afternoon flew by with conversation, music, and stories. Justin felt as if he had known Maya for years, not just a few hours. When it was time for her to return to Princeton, both were clearly sad about the goodbye. "Will you come visit me at college someday?" Maya asked. "Of course. And you'll come here whenever you can?" "Definitely. Now that I've found my brother, I don't intend to waste any more time away from family." The farewell hug between the siblings was long and heartfelt. Justin finally had a sister, and Maya finally had the older brother she had always wanted. On Monday, Justin began his new professional life. The office of Vance Consulting was modern and well-organized, and Justin was introduced to the team as the new consultant specializing in practical operations. During the first few weeks, Justin underwent intensive training, learning business analysis methodologies, client relationship techniques, and how to structure consulting reports. To his surprise, Justin discovered he had a natural knack for the work. His hands-on experience with various types of jobs gave him a unique perspective on business operations. His first client was a small restaurant chain struggling with productivity issues. Justin spent a week observing operations, talking to employees at all levels, and identifying bottlenecks in the processes. His suggestions were well received by both the owners and the staff because he understood both the management perspective and the reality of those who performed the day-to-day work. "You have a different way of approaching problems," Scott Vance commented after Justin presented his first report. "You can see both the human side and the technical side of issues. It's because I've worked in many different roles. I know what it's like to be on both sides of the situation." The success of the first project led to other assignments, and within a few months, Justin had established himself as a respected consultant at the firm. Alongside his professional success, Justin continued building relationships with his family. The piano lessons with Eleanor became a weekly gathering that both looked forward to eagerly. "You've been progressing very quickly," Eleanor said during one of the lessons. "Are you sure you've never taken lessons before?" "I'm sure. I think it's a special connection we have through music." "I feel it too. It's as if music is a language we've always known how to speak together." Thomas also became a constant presence in Justin's life. On weekends, Justin often visited his father's workshop, learning about mechanics and helping with small repairs. "You have skillful hands," Thomas observed one Saturday while they were restoring an old car. "You must have inherited that from the Mitchell side." "I like working with my hands. It's relaxing." "For me too. There's something therapeutic about fixing things that are broken." The phrase carried a deeper meaning for both of them. In a way, they were repairing years of separation and building a relationship that had been interrupted before it even began. Maya came home every weekend, and the siblings developed a genuine friendship. She often showed Justin her college projects, and he offered practical insights into the functionality of the spaces she designed. "Your brother has a very interesting perspective on architecture," Maya's professor commented after Justin visited her college. "He understands practical issues that many architects overlook. That's because he's worked in so many different places. He knows how spaces work in practice, not just in theory," Maya explained, proud of her brother. 3 months after the family reunion, Eleanor made an important decision. She decided to accept Cynthia Vance's proposal to restructure the family business. The partnership was beneficial for both sides. Cynthia brought capital and management experience, while the Harrington family retained operational control and the company's identity. "We can't forget that all of this was only possible because you had the courage to call off that wedding," Justin said to Eleanor during a family meeting. "And because you had the courage to take a job that would change your life," she replied. "I think courage is a family trait," Maya observed. Grandma Margaret, who had been more reserved since the wedding events, finally grew closer to Justin. "Justin, I need to apologize to you more formally," she said during a dinner. "For all the years I kept you away from the family, for all the lies I told, for almost destroying my daughter's life because of pride and money. Grandma, you've apologized many times and I've already forgiven you. I know, but I want you to know I've learned a lot from all of this. I've learned that family isn't built with money or social status. It's built with love, honesty, and presence." "And now you're present," Justin said, gently touching her hand. "That's what matters." 6 months after the reunion, the family decided to throw a party to celebrate. Not just the fact that they were together, but also all the positive changes that had happened in everyone's lives. Justin had been promoted to senior consultant at Vance Consulting. Maya had won a scholarship to study abroad in architecture. Eleanor had started composing music again. Thomas had expanded his workshop, and Grandma Margaret had found peace with her past choices. "A year ago, I never would have imagined my life could be so different," Justin said during his speech at the party. "How so?" Eleanor asked. "A year ago, I was a lonely server questioning my origins. Today, I'm a business consultant. I have a family that loves me, and I've discovered talents I never knew I had." "And we discovered we had an incredible son, brother, grandson, and nephew who just needed to be found," Eleanor replied, emotional. "The most important thing," added Thomas, "is that we learned it's never too late to rebuild a family. And that true love always finds a way to show itself." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, go ahead and leave a like, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. It really helps us beginners. Now continuing. During the party, Justin had an important conversation with Tyler, who had landed a steady job at a mall security company and was dating a co-worker. "Dude, do you realize how much our lives have changed since that wedding?" said Tyler. "A lot. But you know what impresses me the most?" "What?" "That the change didn't start when I found my family. It started when I decided to take that waiter job, even though it was outside my comfort zone." "How so?" "If I hadn't taken the job, I would never have been there for Eleanor to find me. Sometimes the opportunities that change our lives come disguised as simple things." "That's true, and sometimes having the courage to accept a small change can lead to huge changes." During the party, Cynthia Vance approached Justin. "Justin, I have a proposal for you," she said. "What kind of proposal?" "Scott is thinking about opening a branch of the company in Princeton. Would you like to lead that project?" Justin was surprised by the offer. Would it be an even bigger promotion? It would. You'd have full autonomy to structure the new branch, choose the team, define methodologies. It's an opportunity to be an entrepreneur within the company. And why me? There are other, more experienced consultants. Because you have something the others don't. You understand people. You can connect with both clients and employees in a way that's rare in the business world. Justin thought about the offer. It was tempting, but it would also mean more responsibility. "Can I think about it?" "Of course, but don't take too long. We want to implement the project early next year." At the end of the party, Justin found himself alone in the garden with Eleanor. It was a rare moment of calm amid the celebration. "Mom," Justin said, using the word consciously for the first time, "thank you for looking for me. Thank you for forgiving me and giving me the chance to be your mother again. You were always my mother. You just weren't physically present. But all those letters you wrote, all the love you kept, that was always with me in some way." Eleanor was moved by her son's words. "Justin, can I ask you something?" "Of course. If you ever have children, promise me you'll never let anyone keep them from you, no matter the pressures or circumstances." "I promise. And I also promise I'll tell them about the grandmother who was brave enough to stop a whole wedding in order to reunite with the son she loved." "Would you really do that?" "I would. Your story is a story of love and courage. It's a legacy worth passing on." 1 year after the reunion, Justin accepted the proposal to lead the Princeton branch of Vance Consulting. That brought him geographically closer to Maya, allowing the siblings to see each other more often. The new branch was a success from the start. Justin applied a unique methodology that combined technical analysis with human understanding, creating solutions that worked both on paper and in practice. Eleanor decided to go back to studying music professionally. She enrolled in an adult composition course and began creating musical pieces that blended classical technique with contemporary influences. "You know," she said to Justin during one of his visits, "I always thought I had lost my chance to be a professional musician, but I discovered I was just waiting for the right moment." "And what moment was that?" "The moment I found true inspiration again. You gave me back the desire to create, Justin." Thomas also expanded his horizons. With the financial stability that the partnership with the Vances had brought, he managed to modernize his workshop and started offering mechanics courses for low-income youth. "Why did you decide to do that?" Justin asked during one of the courses. "Because I understood that knowledge is the only legacy truly worth leaving behind, and also because I want to help other young people who might not have the opportunities they should have." Maya graduated in architecture with honors and landed an internship at a renowned firm in New York City. But she always kept up with her social projects, developing affordable housing proposals in her free time. "One day I want to build an entire community," she told Justin over lunch. "Beautiful, functional, and affordable homes for families who could never dream of having a well-designed house of their own." "And you will," Justin replied with conviction. "You have the talent and determination for it." 2 years after the reunion, the family received news that deeply moved them. Maya had won a National Student Architecture Prize for a social housing project. "I can't believe it," she shouted over the phone to Justin. "I won first place." "Maya, that's amazing. I'm so proud of you. The project is based on everything I learned by observing practical spaces with you. You know those visits we made to different workplaces? They inspired me to design spaces that really work for real people." Maya's award was celebrated with an even bigger family party than the first one. The whole family was proud of the young architect, but also aware of how each member had contributed to her success. "It's amazing how each of us positively influenced the others," Eleanor observed during the party. Justin brought a practical perspective to Maya. Maya inspired Justin to see beauty in functionality. Thomas taught everyone about integrity in work. "And you taught us that it's never too late to start over," Justin finished. During this time, Justin also made an important decision in his personal life. He started dating Lauren, a psychologist he met during a consulting project at a clinic. Lauren had been impressed by Justin's sensitivity to human issues in the workplace, and Justin was charmed by her intelligence and empathy. "She's special," Justin told Eleanor when he introduced his girlfriend to the family. "I can see that. And from the way she looks at you, it's mutual." Lauren naturally integrated into the family, bringing interesting psychological insights to the family dynamics and helping everyone better understand their own emotional processes. "It's interesting to observe how you reconnected so quickly," Lauren commented during a dinner. "Psychologically, it's rare to see family bonds rebuild so naturally after such a long time apart." "Why do you think that happened with us?" Eleanor asked, curious. "Because true love never really disappears. It lies dormant, waiting for the right opportunity to manifest again. And when that opportunity comes, it's as if the lost time never existed." 3 years after the reunion, Justin decided to take another important step. He proposed to Lauren during Eleanor's birthday party. "Lauren," he said, kneeling before her with the whole family present, "will you marry me?" "Justin," she exclaimed, surprised and emotional. "Of course I will." The ring Justin offered was simple but meaningful. It had been made from the gold of his paternal grandparents' original wedding ring, transformed into something new but connected to the family's history. "This ring represents our family," Justin said. "The past that shaped us and the future we will build together." The wedding was planned to be a simple but meaningful celebration. Justin wanted it to be the opposite of the arranged marriage Eleanor almost had, a true celebration of love and unity. "I want it in the garden of our house," Eleanor said. "The same place where you found me at that first party." "Perfect," Justin agreed. "It will be like closing one chapter and opening another at the same time." During the wedding preparations, Justin reflected on the entire journey he had lived, from being an orphaned server to a business consultant, married into a loving family. "Sometimes I still can't believe this is all real," he said to Thomas while adjusting his tuxedo. "Why?" "Because it's better than anything I could have ever imagined. For years I fantasized about what it would be like to find my family, but reality surpassed any fantasy." "Do you know why that happened?" "Why?" "Because fantasies are based on expectations, but reality was based on true love." Justin and Lauren's wedding was an emotional and joyful celebration. Tyler was the best man, Maya the maid of honor, and the whole family actively participated in the ceremony. During his speech as the groom, Justin said, "3 years ago I was a man who didn't know where he came from or where he was going. Today I know exactly who I am because I have a family that loves me, a wife who completes me, and a purpose in life that goes beyond just surviving." Lauren taught me that love is a daily choice. Eleanor taught me that it's never too late to fight for what you love. Thomas taught me that integrity is worth more than any wealth. Maya taught me that dreams can be realistic if combined with hard work. And together they all taught me that family isn't just about blood. It's about choosing to be present in each other's lives, even when it's hard. Lauren, in her speech, said, "Justin, when I met you, I was impressed by your humility and determination. But when I learned your story, I understood where those qualities came from. You are a man who grew up without a family, but never lost the ability to love, who worked humble jobs but kept his dignity, who faced rejection and abandonment but chose to forgive. Today I promise to be your partner in every moment, and I promise your family that I will take care of the generous heart they helped shape." After the wedding, Justin and Lauren moved into a house in Princeton, near the office Justin managed and close to the university where Maya studied. The house was a special project. Maya had drawn up the floor plan as a wedding gift for her brother, combining practical functionality with aesthetic beauty. "This house was designed especially for you," Maya explained during the move. "Every room was thought out, considering how you live and work." "It's perfect," said Lauren, emotional. "It's exactly how we imagined our home." "How did you get it so right without ever asking us?" Justin wondered. "Because I know my brother," Maya laughed. "And because I watched how you interact. A good architect designs for the people, not for himself." The house became a gathering place for the whole family. Eleanor and Thomas visited often, Margaret spent holidays there, and Maya considered it a second home. 4 years after the reunion, Justin received an even more meaningful proposal. Cynthia Vance was retiring and offered Justin the opportunity to acquire a partnership stake in the firm. "You transformed the way we do consulting," Cynthia said. "You introduced a human-centered methodology that our clients love. It's only fair that you become a partner in the business you helped build." Justin discussed the proposal with his family. It was an incredible opportunity, but also a huge responsibility. "What do you think?" he asked during a dinner. "I think you should accept," said Eleanor. "You have the ability for it and deserve the recognition." "I agree," said Thomas, "but remember to hold on to the values that brought you here. And don't forget that you always wanted to help people through your work," added Lauren. "As a partner, you'll have even more power to do that." Justin accepted the offer and became a managing partner at Vance and Mitchell Consulting. The company name was changed to reflect the new partnership. One of Justin's first decisions as partner was to implement a free consulting program for struggling small family businesses. "Why is that important to you?" asked Scott Vance. "Because my own family went through financial hardships that nearly destroyed them. If we can help other families avoid that, the investment is worth it." The program was a success and attracted attention from industry media. Justin was invited to give talks and interviews, always emphasizing the importance of combining business success with social responsibility. During an interview with a business magazine, Justin was asked about the secret to his success. "It's not a secret," he replied. "It's about understanding that businesses are made by people and for people. When you never forget the human element, technical solutions become more effective." "And how did you develop that perspective?" "Growing up in situations where I had to rely on the kindness of strangers. That taught me that everyone has a story, everyone has struggles, and everyone deserves to be treated with dignity." 5 years after the reunion, the family received another exciting piece of news. Maya had landed her first major contract, designing a low-income housing complex for a township in the countryside. "This is exactly the project I've always dreamed of," she said, beaming. "I'll be able to prove that social housing can be both beautiful and functional." "You'll need business consulting for that project," Justin remarked. "How about we hire our company to help?" "It would be amazing to work together officially," Maya exclaimed. The collaboration between the siblings on the housing project was a milestone in both their careers. Justin contributed feasibility analyses and resource management, while Maya created innovative architectural solutions. The project was completed successfully and became a model for other cities. Maya received national recognition, and Justin was praised for his humanized approach to consulting. "You did more than build houses," said the township mayor during the inauguration. "You built dignity for families who never imagined they could have a beautiful home." During the inauguration, an elderly woman approached Justin. "Thank you for everything, sir," she said, tears in her eyes. "Why are you thanking me, Mrs. Bertha?" "I'm thanking you because my granddaughter is going to grow up in a beautiful house, not a shack, and that will change how she sees herself in the world." The woman's words touched Justin deeply. He understood that his work had an impact far beyond numbers and reports. 6 years after the reunion, Justin and Lauren received the news that she was pregnant. The entire family cheered at the news of the first baby of the new generation. "You're going to be a grandma," Justin said to Eleanor, emotional. "And you're going to be a dad," she replied, tears of joy in her eyes. "The baby will have the family you didn't have when you were born." During the pregnancy, Justin reflected a lot on fatherhood. He wanted to be present in a way his biological parents couldn't be. "I'm afraid I won't know how to be a father," he confessed to Thomas during a conversation. "Why?" "Because I didn't have a father figure during my childhood. What if I do something wrong?" Thomas smiled warmly. "Justin, you've spent your whole life being a father figure to other orphans, being responsible, caring. You've known how to be a father since you were a child. You just didn't know you knew." "What do you mean?" "The way you took care of Tyler, how you protected the younger kids at the orphanage, how you took on responsibilities early in life. All of that was practice for fatherhood." Thomas's words reassured Justin. He realized he had learned about fatherhood through his life experiences, not just from family examples. The baby was born on a sunny March afternoon. It was a girl named Hope, a tribute to what she represented for the whole family. "She's perfect," said Eleanor, holding her granddaughter in her arms. "She has Justin's nose and Lauren's smile." "And the Mitchell family forehead," added Martha, who at 80 years old was radiant with her first great-grandchild. During Hope's first months, Justin discovered a dimension of love he had never known. Paternal love was different from any other feeling he had ever experienced. "Now I understand why my mother never stopped looking for me," he said to Lauren as they watched the baby sleep. "Why? Because this love is unconditional and eternal. No matter what happens, she will always be my daughter, and I will always be her father, always be her." Maya became the most devoted aunt in the world. She visited Hope every week and was already planning special architectural projects for her niece. "When she grows up, I'm going to design a special treehouse just for her," said Maya. "She hasn't even started crawling yet," Justin laughed. "It's never too early to plan," Maya retorted. "Besides, I want her to grow up knowing she has a family that thinks about every detail of her happiness." 7 years after the reunion, Justin's company had expanded to 3 cities. He had hired several consultants, including Tyler, who had studied business management and proved to be talented in the field. "Who would have thought the kid I used to pull out of trouble at the orphanage would be my managing partner?" Justin joked during a meeting. "And who would have thought the orphan waiter would own a consulting firm?" Tyler retorted. Their friendship had evolved into a solid professional partnership based on mutual trust and shared values. Eleanor had released a CD of her compositions, which was well received in the music world. Several of her pieces were dedicated to the family, especially one called Homecoming, that musically told the story of Justin's return. "I never imagined I would be a composer at 50, she said at the CD release. "It's never too late to chase dreams," Justin replied, echoing words she herself had said to him years before. Thomas had become a reference in technical education for young people. His workshop school had trained dozens of qualified mechanics, many of whom had started their own businesses. "It's gratifying to see knowledge multiplying," he said to Justin during a graduation ceremony. "You are building a legacy more valuable than any material inheritance." Margaret, then 75 years old, had become the family's official chronicler. She kept a detailed diary of every important moment, creating a complete record of the family's restoration. "Why are you doing this, Grandma?" Justin asked. "Because our story is extraordinary, and I want Hope when she grows up to know exactly how her family reunited and rebuilt itself. That's a beautiful way to preserve our memory. And it's also a way for me to redeem myself for all the years I tried to erase parts of our family's history." 8 years after the reunion, Justin and Lauren discovered they were expecting their second child. Hope, then 2 years old, was excited by the news. "Baby in Mommy's tummy," she said, pointing at Lauren. The second baby was a boy named Arthur, a tribute to the paternal grandfather Justin never knew. "Now we have a Hope and an Arthur," said Eleanor, emotional. "2 names that represent exactly what this family stands for." With 2 young children, Justin understood even better the sacrifices Eleanor had made when she gave him up for adoption. "It must have been the hardest decision of your life," he said to his mother during a visit. "It was. But looking at you today, at the beautiful family you've built, at the principled man you've become, sometimes I think maybe it was the right decision." "Why?" "Because you grew up strong, independent, with solid values. Maybe if you had stayed with me at 20 in the middle of all that family turmoil, you wouldn't have become the man you are today." Justin reflected on his mother's words. It was possible that his journey through hardships had prepared him to value and build the family he now had. Maybe every experience, good or bad, contributed to this moment. He agreed. 9 years after the homecoming, Maya married a fellow architect who shared her passion for social projects. The wedding took place in the same house where Justin and Eleanor had reunited, closing another symbolic cycle. "It's funny how this house has become the center of all our important moments," observed Maya during her wedding reception. "It's because this is where our real family began," replied Justin. Maya's husband, Gregory, easily integrated into the family. He was a kind and talented man who admired the family's story of togetherness and wanted to be part of it. "You have something special," Gregory said to Justin during the party. "It's rare to see such a close and genuine family. We know how to value what we have because we've known what it's like not to have," replied Justin. 10 years after the homecoming, the family organized a big celebration. It had been a decade since that interrupted wedding had changed all their lives. 10 years, said Eleanor during the party speech. "It seems like a long time, and at the same time it seems like yesterday." "To me, it seems like it was always this way," said Justin, as if these 10 years had erased the previous 25 years of separation. During the party, each family member gave a speech about what the 10 years of reunion had meant. Thomas said, "I learned that being a father isn't just about being physically present. It's about loving unconditionally, even when you can't be together. And now that I can be present, I cherish every moment." Maya said, "I gained the older brother I always wanted, who inspired me to be a better person. Justin taught me that success is about positively impacting people's lives." Margaret said, "I learned that pride and money are worth nothing if they cost the family's happiness. These 10 years have taught me what truly matters in life." Lauren said, "I came into this family as a stranger and was welcomed as a daughter. I learned that true love multiplies, it doesn't diminish." Tyler said, "I discovered that family isn't just about blood. It's about choosing to be present in each other's lives. You gave me the family I always wanted." Eleanor said, "These 10 years have given me back not only my son, but my ability to dream, to create, to be happy. Justin taught me that it's never too late to fight for what you love." And Justin said, 10 years ago I was a server who took on an extra job. Today I am the father of 2 beautiful children, husband to an amazing woman, partner in a thriving company, and part of a family that loves me. But more importantly, I am someone who learned that the best things in life are not planned. They simply happen when we have the courage to embrace the unexpected. 11 years after the homecoming, Justin made an important decision. He decided to write a book telling his story with the goal of inspiring other people who grew up without knowing their biological families. The book, titled The Server and the Socialite: A Tale of Reunion, was released 2 years later and became a bestseller. Justin donated part of the proceeds to orphanages and institutions that support families in financial difficulty. "Why did you decide to write the book?" a journalist asked during the launch. "Because our story isn't unique. There are thousands of families separated by circumstances, lies, social pressures. I want them to know there's always hope for reunion and reconciliation." What is the main message of the book? That true love withstands time and distance, and that it's never too late to fight for the family we love. The book inspired many other families to seek each other out and reconcile. Justin began receiving letters from people who had found lost relatives after reading his story. One of the most touching letters came from a 60-year-old woman who had found the son she had placed for adoption 40 years earlier, inspired by Eleanor's story. "Your book gave me the courage to do what I should have done decades ago," she wrote. "Yesterday I met my son and my 3 grandchildren. My life started over at 60 thanks to your family." 12 years after the reunion, Hope and Arthur started school. Justin made a point of being present at every school event, remembering how lonely he had felt during his own school years. "Daddy, why do you always come to everything at school?" Hope asked one day. "Because when I was a kid, I didn't have anyone to come see me, and I want you to always know you have a family that's proud of you." "And Grandma Eleanor? Didn't she come to your school when you were little?" Justin explained to Hope, in an age-appropriate way, how he had grown up away from his biological family. "But now we're all together," the girl asked. "Yes, my love, now we're all together, and we always will be." The innocence of Hope's questions made Justin reflect on how his children were growing up in a completely different environment from his own. They would never know the loneliness he had experienced, nor would they question their origins. Eleanor had become the most present and devoted grandmother imaginable. She picked up Hope and Arthur from school when Justin and Lauren were working, took them to piano lessons, told them stories about the family. "Grandma, tell the story again of how you found Daddy," Hope would always ask. "Once upon a time there was a princess who had to leave her baby prince so he could stay safe," Eleanor would begin, turning the real story into a fairy tale suitable for children. Thomas had taught Arthur how to use basic tools, passing on the family tradition of manual work. "Grandpa, when I grow up, will I have a workshop like yours?" Arthur would ask. "You can have anything you want, my grandson, but always remember that honest work is the greatest wealth there is." Maya had designed a special playground in the backyard of Justin's house with unique and creative toys that stimulated the children's imagination. "Aunt Maya, can you build me a treehouse?" Hope asked. "Of course, Princess. I'll build the most beautiful treehouse in the world. But first you have to grow a little bit more." 13 years after the reunion, Justin's company had become a national benchmark in humanized consulting. He was frequently invited to speak at universities and business conferences. During one of these talks, a student asked, "How did you manage to develop such a different consulting methodology?" "It wasn't developed in a classroom," Justin replied. "It was developed in real life. Every job I've had, every person I've met, every difficulty I've faced has helped me understand that successful businesses are those that put people first." Justin's methodology had been studied and adopted by other consulting firms, multiplying its impact on the business market. Tyler had become a regional director of the company and was engaged to a teacher he met during an educational consulting project. "Dude, do you realize that your story changed the lives of everyone around you?" Tyler said during a lunch. "What do you mean?" "I was able to grow professionally because you gave me the opportunity. Maya developed social projects inspired by your example. Eleanor started making music again. Thomas expanded his teaching. Even your grandmother found peace. Your story was like a stone thrown into a lake. It created waves that affected everyone." Justin had never thought of it that way. His personal journey had indeed positively impacted many other people. 14 years after the reunion, Eleanor released her second CD, this time with songs co-written with Justin. Father and son had discovered they could create music together naturally and harmoniously. "What's it like working with your son?" an interviewer asked during the launch. "It's magical," Eleanor replied. "It's like we have a common musical language that transcends the years we were apart. When we play together, it's as if we were never separated." "And for you, Justin?" "It's a way to build memories we couldn't have in my childhood. Every song we create together is a moment of connection that makes up for lost time." The CD, Future Memories, was well received by critics and the public, described as an emotionally rich work that tells a story of family love through music. 15 years after the reunion, the family received a special tribute. The city where Justin grew up decided to create a support center for families searching for lost relatives, named the Justin Mitchell Family Reunification Center. "It's an honor to have our name tied to such an important project," Justin said during the inauguration. The center offered free genealogical research services, psychological support for families in the process of reuniting, and educational programs on adoption and family rights. Eleanor was invited to be the honorary president of the center, a position she accepted with enthusiasm. "This center represents everything I wish had existed when I was searching for Justin," she said during her acceptance speech. In its first 2 years of operation, the center helped over 200 families reunite, confirming that the need for this type of service was real and urgent. 16 years after the reunion, Hope and Arthur were 8 and 6 years old respectively. They were happy, confident children, surrounded by family love. Hope had inherited the family's musical talent and already played the piano at an impressive level for her age. Arthur showed an interest in construction and architecture, spending hours playing with blocks and drawing houses. "Daddy, can I work with you when I grow up?" Hope asked one day. "You can do whatever you want, sweetheart. But why do you want to work with me?" "Because I want to help people like you do." His daughter's answer deeply moved Justin. He was succeeding in passing on the values he had learned during his journey. Arthur, in turn, told everyone he was going to be an architect like Aunt Maya to make pretty houses for everyone. "Can Grandpa Thomas teach me to use a hammer?" Arthur asked. Of course, my grandson, but first you have to learn that a tool is for building, not for playing. Thomas was teaching Arthur the same values about hard work and responsibility that he had tried to instill in Justin from a distance all those years. End of story. Now tell us what you thought of this heartwarming story of reunion and redemption. Do you believe Justin made the right choices along his journey? Which part of the story touched you the most? Leave in the comments your thoughts on this family that found true love where they least expected it. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful journey. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other touching stories like this one.